Mom?
Welcome to Cnext. Today, we're ranking the top 20 best new TV shows of 2024 so far. Get your popcorn, ready, set, and let's go.
We're getting through this, even if the odds are stacked against us.
Number 20, Constellation.
Do you have hallucinations?
Mama?
Yeah.
This is the motherlode of space thrillers. There is just something that's so claustrophobic about space, so much so that there's a phobia of it, astrophobia, which is the fear of space and stars. After watching Constellation, you'll find yourself experiencing, alongside the protagonist Joe, some astrophobia. Here's the sitch. Joe is an astronaut on the International Space Station. After a long journey, she finally makes her anticipated return home, only to find that it's not the same life she left behind. No, it's not an Interstellar-esque parent-daughter tragedy. Constellation is a myriad of interwoven and mind-bending alternative universes.
That was not me. Mama?
Where is she?
Number 19, Sugar.
I'm one of the good guys. But good and bad can be in the eye of the beholder.
Did we potentially, but also definitely miss out on having Colin Farrell as the new James Bond? Sugar will convince you of that. When private detective John Sugar comes back to LA after a stint in Japan, he set about investigating the disappearance of Olivia Segal, the granddaughter of prolific Hollywood producer Jonathan Segal. When he pulls upon that particular calamitous threat, he unravels entire plots, secret organizations, and family secrets better left buried. Sugar is an amalgamation of noir TV, Hitchcock, and the private detective format. And if you prefer slow burns over relentless plot twists, there is one, but it's incredibly well crafted. Sugar is for you.
Who are you, buddy?
Are you following me, John Sugar?
Number 18, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
What is it that you two do?
We're software engineers.
When everyone heard about a Mr. and Mrs. Smith reimagining as a series, eyebrows were arched, especially when Fleabag's Phoebe Waller-Bridge left the project after creative differences. The reality? Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the TV show, lives up to the legacy Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt left. Atlanta and Community's Donald Glover and Blue Eye Samurai's Maya Erskine have incredible chemistry. John has a military background and Jane was an intelligence. Their banter will keep you on the edge of your seat, and their townhouse, owned by the Ominous Company, is straight out of Pinterest.
What do you think happens if we fail?
Our marriage?
Our mission.
Number 17, Renegade Nell.
She fights as though she's possessed. Something happens to me, and I'm untouchable.
Do you ever feel like the fates have abandoned you? Nell Jackson has that same exact feeling, except that she is being framed for murder. One thing leads to another, and she finds herself 18th century England's most notorious and wanted outlaw. On the run with her sisters, she is also aided by a spirit called Billy Blind. A modern-day Tinkerbell, Nell takes over several identities: a society debutante, a Scottish countess, a prison sawbones, among many. This British historical fantasy series is nothing that you have seen before.
You're going to die, Nellie Jackson.
Number 16, American Nightmare.
I've never heard of a case where the kidnappers drop their victim at the front door of their house.
The true crime community wasn't ready for this series. American Nightmare explores the eerie story of the abduction of Denise Huskins and Aaron in Quinn, a real-life story. Or is it? Because according to the FBI, the couple faked the entire thing in a Gone Girl-esque story. This all went down in 2015 when the couple was woken up by invaders in their Vallejo home. Huskins was then drugged and taken for ransom. Quinn was able to call the police, only to become the prime suspect of his girlfriend's alleged murder. Huskins was returned 2 days later with tales of horrific ordeals, but the police maintained their theory of not believing them. Did this actually happen? What do you think?
I wake up. Bright light blinding us. Taser goes off. And I see they're wearing wetsuits.
Number 15, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
The world needs the Avatar.
The original series almost 2 decades ago was so iconic that it spawned games, a movie, and an extended universe of the Avatar world. The highly anticipated series? It needs to be broken down into a few parts. 1. It's visually stunning. The budget for the CGI and props must have been dramatically expensive. 2. It's only 8 episodes. As a result, you dive straight into the action. 3. Are the characters done justice? See for yourself. Sokka is still funny. Katara is magnificent. Prince Zuko will capture your heart. And Aang, the master of all 4 elements, has his work of defeating the Once World Domination Fire Nation cut out for him.
I'm the Avatar, and I'm gonna save the world. With my friends.
Number 14, Ted.
I'm gonna need your parents' phone numbers.
My parents are out of town.
I don't have parents on account I'm a teddy bear that came alive.
Who would have thought? One TV show few people had on their bingo card for 2024 was a series adaptation was Ted. You remember the renowned 2012 movie starring Mark Wahlberg? This is the prequel to it, set in 1993. Only now, Ted is living with a 16-year-old John Bennett in Boston. The animated teddy bear is voiced by Seth MacFarlane, of course, and he's still as witty and rude and funny as he is in the original movies. What did life with a teenage Bennett and a younger Ted look like in a house full of equally chaotic and opinionated people?
You and me have been best friends like our whole lives. We're about to get high for the first time.
Can we have drugs, please?
Let's do this right.
Number 13, Boy Swallows Universe.
He did bad things, didn't he?
We all do bad things sometimes.
How do you combine fever dreamlike realism, crime, and mystery in a suburban setting? There is nothing on the market that's like Boy Swallows Universe. Set in Brisbane, Australia in the 1980s, we have Eli Bell and a red telephone with a mysterious voice on the other side. It's based on the 2018 novel by Trent Dalton. Bell, played by Felix Cameron and Zach Burgess, has a plate full of trouble. A recovering addict mom, a dealer stepdad, an absentee father, and schoolyard bullies. For company, there's his older brother Gus, who can only be understood by Eli, Eli's best friend and ex-con, Slim Holiday, inmate Alex Bermuda, and his crush, crime journalist Caitlin Spies.
Get him out of here.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm just trying to make it better for everyone.
Number 12, The Gentleman.
I used to be in business with your father. I have certain interests that I need to discuss with you.
Now what happens down there?
Theo James and Kea Scodelario, that's it. That's the prompt. But then you stay for the actual plot. The Gentleman tells the story of Eddie Halstead, an aristocrat who inherits his family estate, only to find out that it's home to an entire criminal enterprise, a weed empire, and its roots? Way too deep to take out by himself. The series is set in the same world as Guy Ritchie's original movie of the same name in 2019. It's actually an expansion of Matthew McConaughey and his boss, Michael Pearson's cannabis empire.
Though they appear to be house-joined, don't be deceived by the facade.
Number 11, Masters of the Air.
What's the move? We lead our boys through it.
You need to take in a deep breath before this. Meet the Bloody 100th, an American 8th Air Force Division during World War II, who, well, that's where the need for air comes from. These men were trapped in a B-17 bomber in leather oxygen masks and only had their own eyes to locate their target and pens and papers to make their calculations. As if being in occupied territory and carrying dangerous bombs wasn't enough. Masters of the Air has been in development since 2013, the brainchild of Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. And if nothing else fails, look at the star-studded cast.
We're getting through this. Even if the odds are stacked against us.
Number 10, The Brother's Son.
I don't think we've ever hugged before.
We're probably gonna die, so might as well get one in before you go.
The Brother's Son is built on layers and generational trauma. First, you have Michelle Yeoh's Eileen's son, an immigrant mother who's doing the best she can to provide for her son Bruce. Bruce isn't the prodigal, college-attending son she thinks she's sending tuition checks to. Samsung Lee's character is a medical student who loves medical marijuana too much to pay for his collegiate education. Hence, his need to join a low-stakes drug gang, if something like that ever existed. Then we have the eldest, Charles Chairleg's son of Big Son, who's the head of the Jade Dragons triad. Charles is reunited with his mother and brother by the assassination of the head of a Taiwanese triad. Protect the family is their motto. Charles's enemies come knocking, resulting in action-packed fight scenes, superhero-esque combat, and family dynamics that will get you glued to the screen.
Mom?
Number 9, three-body problem.
What happened to them?
Will the sins of our past continue to haunt our future? Short answer, yes. Long answer, when an epidemic of mysterious suicides start, Private Intelligence Officer Clarence Shih tries to save the world. Based on the three-body problem by Lynn Sixon, the TV series Counterpart tells the story of a world that took technology too far. It's known that Netflix poured fortunes into making this come to the small screen and produced by David Benioff, D.B. Weiss, and Alexander Wu. Yes, the Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones. Three-body problem spans entire decades, generations, and realities.
They are coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop them.
Number 8, Dead Boy Detectives.
You are my best mate. I wouldn't want to be dead with anyone else.
How many new ways can you write a detective story in 2024? This lineup will surprise you. Dead Boy Detectives? It's not just a catchy name, they're actually dead. The premise, Charles Rowland and Edwin Payne, played by Jaden Reverie and George Rextew, are two teenage ghosts who team up with a clairvoyant for their equally supernatural clients. Well, that is until a witch interferes with their Hardy Boys-esque routine. If you're still on the fence, there is a spoiler-free spoiler we can tell you. At some point, you are going to see Lucas Cage as a Cat King. No context will be provided until then.
I'm not going back to hell.
Number 7, Ripley.
Tom what?
Ripley.
Andrew Scott stepped out of his hot priest cloak and into that of a grifter's, Tom Ripley. Ripley is hired to get a rich man's son to return home. It's an adaptation of the 1955 novel The Talented Mr. Ripley. This Ripley was fighting for his livelihood in New York, one scam at a time, when he was offered this chance: go to Italy to get Dickie Greenleaf to come home. But Dickie, who's leading a picturesque countryside life with Dakota Fanning's Marge Sherwood, doesn't want to come home. What comes next is a series of unfortunate events, stylishly shot, more scams, more cities.
This is what I do for a living. You're interfering. I'd like you to leave.
I bet you would.
Number 6, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live.
I have to keep trying. I won't stop. I'm getting there. I'm getting home.
The Walking Dead is the franchise that just keeps on giving. We've already seen successful sequels that follow the plots of Daryl Dixon, Maggie, and Negan, and now, after the death of Carl, we're seeing where Rick Grimes and McCone stepped off, into a twist. Series executive producer and The Walking Dead Scott M. Gimple already teased the ones who that they aren't completely together once they're together. We know that Rick was saved by the Civic Republic military, and somehow he and McCone aren't completely on the same side.
We're the last light of the world. You have to know that. This is not the answer. It must end.
Number 5, One Day.
After we met, I had a bit of a crush on you.
So what happened to it? This crush.
Get your tissues ready. One Day, based on the original novel and British movie, is just chef's kiss. It is, without being dramatic, a roller coaster of emotions. Like a lot of couples, their relationship spans over a decade. However, it's not as straightforward as it seems. Dexter and Ebba's labyrinthian journey to each other and away from each other, and the poignant and often heart-wrenching moments in between, take the performance Anne Hathaway and Jim Sturgis left and elevated it to a whole new level.
Back in the late 80s, it was all I thought about.
And now?
I thought I finally got rid of you.
Number 4, Baby Reindeer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my stalker. Say hello to Martha.
Don't you say that to me! Apologize to me right now!
It's not this often that a show leaves you baffled, hurting, compelled, traumatized, and with a dropped jaw. The layers upon layers of this are insane. Donnie has a problem. He has a stalker, but it's not as straightforward as that. Martha, played by Jessica Gunning, is obsessed with bartender Donnie, who's played by the actual writer, aka the person whom this happened. For the next few years, Martha stalks Donnie. In real life, because this is based on true events, she sends him over 41,000 emails, over 350 hours worth of voice messages, and actively hurts the people around him. She stalks his house, work, his parents, and his dates. When he eventually went to the police, he was dismissed. What possible conclusion can this stalker story reach?
Look, Martha, just go back home.
I have a sneaky feeling you might be the death of me.
Number 3, X-Men 97.
Believe in each other.
It's a hard-knock life for a mutant. You're trying to save a world that both hates and fears you. This newest band of mutants is one of the MCU's best so far. It's even being called the best animated entry of the MCU. It's a bridge between the X-Men's past and future. It picks up from a 1997 cliffhanger where Professor Charles Xavier was nearly killed by Henry Gyrich. Jean Grey and Cyclops are expecting, anti-mutant hysteria is at its strongest, and some of the X-Men, TASS's most memorable and terrifying antagonists, return, such as the Friends of Humanity, Gyrich, Bolivar Trask, his Sentinels, and more. The cameos here alone? Mind-blowing.
Magneto. The last will and testament of Charles Xavier. Everything he built now belongs to me.
Number 2, Fallout.
You need to go home. You come from a world of rules, of laws. You should not be alone.
This is what happened to Rico after Hannah Montana ended. He ended up in a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles. To escape the Great War of 2077, people have taken to living in underground bunkers. What is lurking outside, you ask? Only radiation, mutants, and bandits. Those bunkers are called vaults, and each one is designed to perform sociological and psychological experiments on its dwellers. Fast forward to the year 2296, and Lucy escapes Vault 33 to the LA wasteland to look for her father. She teams up with a Brotherhood of Steel Squire, aka Aaron Moten or Maximus, and a ghoul bounty hunter, played by Walton Goggins.
Everyone wants to save the world, they disagree on how.
Number 1, Shogun.
Hear me, my son. I alone will tell you the truth. Death is the only punishment here.
Word on the street that this is what thrillers wish they could be. Shogun is going to be studied in university classes in the future. That's how brilliant and authentic and well choreographed and utterly brilliant it is. Did we say that already? Based on the 1975 novel by James Clavell, the 10-part adaptation is set in Japan in the year 1600. That's when Japan was on the precipice of war and 250 years of official isolation. We have alliances, betrayals, opaque councils, and at the center of it, an English pilot named John Blackthorne, played by Cosmo Jarvis, who finds himself entrenched in one of Japan's bloodiest conflicts.
Because death can come for us at any moment.
And those are the top 20 best new TV shows of 2024 so far. What did you think? Did we miss one of your favorites? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell below to be notified of new content. Thanks for watching.